The Maldives is a chain of islands situated in the Indian Ocean, roughly 250 miles southwest of India. Strung across the Indian Ocean in a double chain of 26 coral atolls, the archipelago stretches over 600 miles north to south. With its 1,192 islands forming just 1% of its total area of 35,000 square miles, it is one of the most geographically dispersed countries in the world. The majority of the islands are uninhabited. Only 192 islands have local populations living on them. 109 islands are tourist resorts, and some of the other islands are used for different industrial and commercial purposes. In total, the population stands at above 360,000, with a third of the population living in the capital city, Malé. Tourism has rapidly developed in the Maldives since its inception in the early 1970s. As the concentration of resorts spread from Malé Atoll to far-flung atolls, the transport industry was challenged to keep pace. Last year, the country welcomed over 1 million visitors from all over the world to enjoy their dream holidays at resorts dotted along the length of the country. While many made their airport transfers by boat and some via the domestic airports, more than 800,000 flew to their resorts by seaplane. The seaplane operation, as it is known today, started in 1993, with the first flight taking off from the lagoon on the eastern side of the airport. Since then, the seaplane operation has expanded rapidly, keeping pace with the growth in tourist arrivals and the number of new resorts that have been opened with the newfound freedom of seaplane transfers for their guests. Today, there are more than 40 seaplanes in operation. Last year, there were over 120,000 seaplane movements. This breaks down into more than 300 takeoffs and landings per day. These guests have just arrived at Ibrahim Nasir International Airport. They're being met on arrival by resort reps, who are showing them the way to Maldivian Airways check-in counters located just outside the arrival terminal. Just one international airline, such as this one, with an average of 250 passenger arrivals on board, can be split into up to 17 different seaplanes. The target is to have all of these travellers departing on seaplanes to their designated resorts within 2 hours of arrival in the Maldives. After checking in, their luggage is loaded onto the luggage van. The passengers board one of the many buses lined along the driveway and head off to Seaplane Terminal, located on the eastern side of the airport. TMA employs a total of over 950 staff, which includes 155 pilots, 77 cabin crew and 32 terminal staff. 20 nationalities are represented in the company. Most of the pilots and all of the cabin and terminal employees are Maldivian. After a 5-minute ride around the main runway of the airport to the eastern side of the international airport, the passengers arrive at the terminal. The seaplane terminals are equipped with dining areas, souvenir shops, and a host of other facilities for the comfort and convenience of the passengers. The more exclusive resorts offer private lounges for their guests, with luxurious furnishings and facilities reflecting the individual style of the resort.
Mike Bravo dispatch.
The operations center is the hub of TMA daily operations. Although all aircraft movements are scheduled the previous day, a high degree of flexibility has to be maintained to accommodate delays of international flights, changes in weather, and technical issues that may be faced with an individual aircraft.
Dispatch, Tango Alpha Charlie, back on the water.
The staff at the operations center monitor all flights and look at the status of each individual passenger, including what their destination is and how long they have been waiting for their flight since their arrival. They're also monitoring if any inbound international flight has been delayed, so that they can rearrange the flight times to suit the arrivals, minimizing the delays for passengers that have already arrived on other flights. Engineers are on standby to deal with any technical issues with any of the fleet, so that the problem can be resolved as quickly as possible. The luggage checked in at the international terminal arrives at the TMA luggage depot, where they are carefully sorted and placed, ready to be loaded onto planes bound to different destinations. Once the luggage is loaded and the aircraft is ready for departure, the staff usher them to their designated aircraft, ensuring the safety of the passengers as they board the plane. A member of cabin crew takes their hand luggage and stores it at the back of the plane. This flight is bound to 2 different resorts in Ari Atoll, and will also bring back passengers from those resorts in time for their international departures. Before the plane leaves the docks, the pilot calls ATC ground control to inform them of his destination.
Mike Alpha Juliet airborne for the Coral departure surface in 290 degrees 5 knots. Initially climb 2,500 feet, northbound left clear for takeoff.
He then taxis to one of the 4 water runways as instructed by the air traffic control. The first water runway opened at Malé International Airport in 1993. As the central hub of seaplane operations, there are now a total of 4 water runways, located on the lagoon adjacent to the airport. All takeoffs and landings at Ibrahim Nasir International Airport are directed by the Air Traffic Control Tower, encompassing seaplane operations on the 4 water runways, as well as scheduled international and domestic arrivals and departures using the 1 runway they share at the international airport. In 2004, the first Aeronautical Information Circular, AIC, on seaplane procedures was published. It was amended in 2006 and again in 2009, with corridors to segregate IFR from VFR movements. Radar service was implemented on the 31st of December 2009, and in November 2011, new seaplane procedures with seaplane departure routes and seaplane arrival routes was published. Once they are in the air, pilots have to follow VFR seaplane standard departure routes as instructed by air traffic control.
Mike Alpha Oscar clear to move ship 4,500 feet when ready connector.
Today, the pilot has been instructed to follow FIHA departure. So after takeoff, the aircraft is required to remain west of R200 in order to avoid IFR aircraft approaching to and departing from land runway before proceeding to FIHA. The seaplane has passed FIHA and is now outside Malé control zone. Outside of this zone, the pilots monitor and transmit position information on one of 3 advisory frequencies designated to the area in which they are flying. However, if they are within the 20 miles control zone of any of the domestic airports in the country, they need to communicate with the local air traffic control for providing information on domestic air traffic movements and clearance. The Civil Aviation Authority has made flight operation regulations more stringent than ICAO requirements for floatplane operators in the Maldives. Although 1 pilot can operate twin otters, Maldives Civil Aviation Authority requires these flights to be operated by 2 pilots. As per company requirements, the commander is required to have an ATPL qualification with a minimum of 3,000 hours experience, including 500 hours on the type equipped with floats. Cabin crews are required for operations with more than 9 passengers. Because of the unique operating environment, all foreign pilots are required to attend flight training at ground school, and for a captain to sit with them during flights until they have finished their Maldivian flight training, even if they are already a captain in their own country. Trans-Maldivian Airways holds an AOC-approved license under MCAR OPS-1 for CAT operations, and at present operates to over 60 destination water aerodromes from the base at Ibrahim Nasir International Airport. The floating platforms are either attached to a resort jetty or anchored to the bottom of the sea. Location of floating platforms is determined based on a number of factors, including depth of the seabed, distance of the water aerodrome from the servicing resorts and islands, maritime movements in their location, and navigable airspace. The effect on the surrounding community and the environmental impact of the platform is also considered before approval is granted. Floating platforms must provide adequate support and buoyancy for the loads imposed by embarking and disembarking passengers and their luggage. They also must include safety equipment, as required by Maldives Civil Aviation Authority regulations. Each licensed water aerodrome operator is also required to have an emergency response plan. All personnel involved in rescue and firefighting duties must receive appropriate regular training in the use of equipment provided. The medical equipment commensurate with the category of aircraft in operation must always be readily available. Docking procedures on the floating platforms require a significant amount of crew member skill. They are conducted with the cabin crew member out on the floats, communicating via standard hand signals with the commander who is maneuvering the aircraft to the dock. Seaplanes are parked at various aerodromes by hooking on to mooring buoys where both the cabin crew and the co-pilot are out on the floats conducting the procedure while maintaining coordination only via standard hand signals. Guests are shuttled between the resort island and the floating platform by boat. Transfer vessels should be 200 meters away from the floating platform and water runway when the aircraft is landing or at takeoff. Vessel captains are trained on the layout of water runways and taxi routes. Trans-Maldivian Airways operates DHC-6 Twin Otter seaplanes under MCAR OPS-1 and holds approvals under MCAR-M for the management of airworthiness of its aircraft and MCAR-145 for the maintenance of its aircraft. Under these approvals, TMA tracks and performs all maintenance up to and including full aircraft overhauls. All maintenance operations are overseen by the Safety and Quality Department to ensure compliance with the regulations and as part of the safety management system. Maintenance is done under an intensive and comprehensive maintenance program approved by the Maldivian Civil Aviation Authority. This maintenance program is based on the Twin Otter manufacturer's recommended program, which has been intensified in many areas based on experience and in consideration of the harsh operating environment of the Maldives. TMA's Aircraft Engineering Department employs nearly 200 engineers, technicians, planners and technical support staff in its 2 hangar facilities to execute this detailed program. Under this program, TMA performs line maintenance and detailed inspections of the entire aircraft is carried out every 125 flight hours, usually once a month. As TMA manages a fixed-base operation with more than 60 remote aerodrome locations for ad hoc and air transfer services within the territory of Maldives, the safety management system has been specifically tailored for these needs. The complete scope of all systems, including flight operations, maintenance engineering, ground operations, ground facilities, continuing airworthiness management, and related trainings are covered in the safety management system. Additionally, through a well-established safety policy, employee training, confidential reporting, and use of the different occurrence reporting forms, safety issues are reported, managed, and tracked to achieve the highest level of safety, while at the same time increasing operational efficiency and providing a safe work environment for all personnel. Rescue and firefighting services for Malé Water Aerodrome is provided by the Maldives Airports Company Limited (MACL) by 3 rescue boats and trained staff to cater for the category of water operation. Additionally, coordination agreements are made with Maldives National Defence Coast Guard for off-airport rescue operations. As more resorts are being opened across the country, the demand for seaplane travel is ever increasing. We are proud to say that since the beginning of seaplane operations in Maldives 2 decades ago, there is not a single fatal incident up to date. The commitment and dedication of Civil Aviation Authority of Maldives and the operators have ensured the safety and reliability of this vast, unique seaplane operation, which has given most of the travellers the once-in-a-lifetime experience which will remain with them for a long time to come.